Capitol Mall was thronged with an estimated 750,000 as President Eisenhower, re-elected by a plurality of over 9 million votes, arrived for swearing-in ceremonies. The oath of office was administered by Chief Justice Warren, and Ike opened his second term with a fervent call for brotherhood in this time of tragic world division.
May the light of freedom, coming to all darkened lands, flame brightly, until at last the darkness is no more. May the turbulence of our age yield to the true time of peace, when men and nations shall share a life that honors the dignity of each, the brotherhood of all.
In London, a sad changing of the guard. Anthony Eden, who for 21 years hoped to be Prime Minister, resigned after 21 months in 10 Downing Street. Still personally popular, his health was broken in the aftermath of England's disastrous invasion of Suez. His successor, Chancellor of the Exchequer, Harold Macmillan, a staunch supporter of Eden's policies. March 6th was Independence Day for Ghana. Premier Kwame Nkrumah received congratulations from Ralph Bunche of the United Nations as citizens of the former Gold Coast celebrated their emergence to a national status. Vice President and Mrs. Nixon represented the United States at the 3-day festival. One feature of the occasion was a beauty contest to select Miss Ghana, first queen of a new republic. Ship of the year was Mayflower II. Built in England by popular subscription, this recreation of the original Pilgrim's craft sailed across the Atlantic in 53 days, cutting 2 weeks from her namesake's time. After touching at Plymouth, Mass., she sailed down to New York for further welcoming ceremonies. Reported the skipper, the natives are friendly. Queen Elizabeth visited her North American realm for the first time since ascending the throne. Canada summoned up a regal display of pomp and ceremony to hail the beloved ruler. The United States, like Canada, went all out with the warmth of its reception. The royal couple were White House guests during their stay in the nation's capital. New York's spectacular, inimitable harbor welcome serenaded the flotilla that carried the royal couple to the city. The approach by water, scenically the finest first glimpse of Gotham, was the Queen's own idea. Prince Philip was impressed, too. The royal couple proceeded up Broadway, the Canyon of Heroes, bombarded by tons of ticker tape, millions of cheers, and what was the most enthusiastic reception anywhere in Elizabeth's 10-day North American tour. The monarch of 10 Commonwealth nations was New York's queen for a day, her last day in America and the most memorable. But the lighter side of the news was eclipsed by a military coup in Syria. Nationalist pro-red officers seized control, began arming civilian home guard units with weapons freshly shipped from Russia, and accused Turkey to the north of plotting aggression. A new crisis in the Mideast. Syria was mobilizing, a total mobilization in which Muslim women discarded traditional veils for khaki caps and close-order drill. Denying Syrian charges, Turkey's President Bayar watched joint NATO maneuvers from a U.S. 6th Fleet vessel. Syria's President al-Quwatli arrived in Egypt, he said, to see medical specialists. Strongman Nasser greeted him warmly, which may have been just what the doctor ordered. Egypt's army was on parade, rebuilt from the wreckage left by Israel's Sinai campaign, thanks to a generous transfusion from Russian arsenals. Prominent among the onlookers were Russian officers. In Washington, the president summed up,
The pattern that is seemingly emerging is an old one for the Soviets to insert or offer economic and military aid, and through doing so to penetrate the receiving country with their agents, for these to get into power, to find stooges that will do their will, and finally to take over this country.
Kremlin upheavals following Stalin's death continued. The execution of Beria, the downgrading of Malenkov as Khrushchev consolidated power, were followed by Molotov's exile to Siberia and the demotion of popular Marshal Zhukov. But the biggest news to come out of Russia was the story of the year, perhaps of our generation. Not one, but two artificial moons circled the Earth, their radio beeps signaling not merely a red scientific triumph, but the launching of mankind into a new era, the dawn of the age of space. Sputnik and Mutnik they were called, for in the second rode a dog, Laika, the first earthly life to travel in outer space, to prove that life can survive in the vast reaches of the universe. Russia scored a first with Sputnik, while American science was on the same path, and only days later made the greatest stride yet into outer space. Operation Fireside, from Enuitok Atoll, sent up a giant balloon carrying a 4-stage rocket in an ambitious research attempt. "19 miles up, the rocket is launched. Fired at a rarefied height where air friction is at a minimum, the rocket is designed not to orbit like the Sputnik, but to probe for distance. 4,000 miles up and out. At year's end, America pressed to the culmination of its own space research program. A satellite fully equipped with automatic instruments was the vital first stage in the long-range exploration of space. The giant rocket, man's greatest technical achievement, only a crude prototype of the true spaceship of the future. But this first voyage into the void, so carefully charted, where a mistiming of seconds or a speed error of but a few miles an hour would mean failure, is as significant a venture as that of the ancient mariners who first sailed onto unknown seas. In the year 1957, man reached beyond the surface confines of his own planet for the first time in all history. And the bleep bleeps of automatic instruments are signals to the human spirit as well that a new era is at hand.